Happy Friday. Golly, is this the last Friday in April? It is. Holy
It
moly,
is.
mind
It's
blown.
crazy.
Welcome to Leadership Lunch Chat with my friend Amy Vetter. I'm Jen Wilson, and we're here to process leadership ideas, really leadership and management ideas inside the accounting profession and in our lives. And today we thought we would talk about money. We're going to talk about compensation, and it'll be like partner comp, but maybe some staff comp ideas too. You're here with us this morning, so you're welcome to enter comments as we go of things you would like to direct the conversation on or opinions that you might have. So that might help us a little bit in what we're talking about. But really, this is a super hot topic. It's always a popular topic because people want to figure out, like, how do we make more? How do we split the pie better? How do we make sure that we're paying at market and those sorts of things? And so there's always some serious compensation conversations happening inside firms. So I'm just going to start us, Amy, and then you can jump in here and take it where you want. But essentially, we have, for the most part, firms outperforming, sort of at the top line in growth, and the profit numbers are just incredible in most firms today, comparative to, let's say, 7 years ago, or and really comparative to what a lot of the people that own firms today dreamed of making when they were growing up. They're making money that's like way outside of that, way outside of what they thought they might earn, when they were adults. And so it's awesome. It's just wonderful that we are managing to run such successful and profitable firms, and that the demand for our services are so high, and all of that's blessing city. But there is a decent amount of concern that entry level starting salaries out of school for 5-year accounting degreed people are not competitive with technology. They're not competitive with actuarial science or finance or a whole bunch of other professions. And so accountants are graduating and thinking, why would I go into accounting? Because I just can't make the kind of money I could make in other areas. And so why aren't we addressing that? Why aren't we sharing some of our blessings and this plethora of compensation we have out there, kind of redistributing some of that to the lower end, or the first entry points in the profession, things like that. So there's lots of conversation about, like, are we compensating intelligently? Are we overpaying right now to the folks that are in the partner seats instead of making the investments that we need to make back in the business? So, Amy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a hard topic because I think for partners that have been in the trenches and did, put in the hours in their years and years in a firm, that's what, is this payoff of, I spent every single year away from my family, working 65, 70 hours a week. And, this is why I did it, for this payoff. And I think any business owner, that's investing in a business, you and I included, you've got to make the hard decisions and pay when things aren't going well, and take a hit or make investments, and no one else is making those investments. So, when things are going well, obviously you want the payoff from all the years that were rough. So that totally makes sense, and is human nature to feel that way. I think from the point of our generous side of what we talk about in generosity, the people that, even though you made the sacrifices, there's people that stayed with you during those times or have been there and worked through the growth. So you wouldn't be doing as well if, the staff weren't there and everybody wasn't putting the time in that needed to be done in order to succeed. So really coming up creatively of how you're going to share in the good times is just as important as when you have to sacrifice in the bad times to keep things going, and changing your mindset around that. And I think that's the hardest thing, is there's this mindset of I'm owed this, from my time in, and I've got to change that mindset to make sure that we are sharing in the benefits. And I was kind of had a relationship with a company that I thought did this so well, where the CEO would act like he was really into basketball. And so everything was around like winning the Sweet 16 or, March Madness or whatever. And then they'd be up for that. And when the company would do really, really well, he would put it back in their 401k. There would be some benefit to everyone, not just the frontline salespeople, not just, what is traditional, but where everyone's in it and gaining from it, as it's coming. The hard part is deciding what is that thing that people are going to get excited about if you give back, because younger people might not care about their 401k as much as someone in their 40s and 30s and so forth. So really getting creative around that, but finding team spirit around growth and the success is really important as well.
Yeah. Well, and I was sitting here thinking, like, one of the compensation best practices is, performance-based compensation, rewarding those who contribute the most, and making sure that we don't have like outdated or outmoded systems. I've been here a long time, so I make a lot of money systems.
Mm-hmm.
I hear what you're saying about like paying our dues. As a business owner, and I know that there are times when economic, recession hits or whatever, and you don't make any money. You try to keep your team together and you make no money. And so, yes, there should be some long range reward for that sort of investment and contribution and the risk. You have to get paid for the risk. The owners have
Mm-hmm.
risk associated with that. But other than that, you have to have, like we call it, the what have you done for me lately system of pay.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, what's the market value of that what have you done for me lately? So those that contribute what we would call future capacity type behaviors and performance, where they're building practices, they're building and developing people. People stick to them. People get promoted in their groups. Our best and brightest young minds are coming from them, and they're nurturing. They're pretty big business developers, although today that's not actually that magical, since clients need so much. You could develop business more easily than in the past. But these practice building behaviors are worth more on the street than production. I'm a big biller and big collector. That's not worthless. It's valuable, but it's not the same value. And just making sure that we're making sense of what we're paying. We have to pay for the market we're in, not the one we used to be in or the one we wish we were in. And that's something that always concerns me, because yes, we can say I walked uphill both ways in waist-high snow with a baked potato in my hand and had to eat it for lunch. That's my story of being a young accountant, out of school kid. And that's, you've got to pay your dues. We could have that story and that expectation. But if the entire market is paying these folks at a different level and calling them away from us as a firm, not just on comp, but on opportunity, and the paradigm shifted out there in the marketplace, we have to shift it inside the firm. And we just have to redistribute some of these monies, I think, to make it more lucrative to work here. And it doesn't mean just flat base increases where we increase our fixed costs and there's no performance expectations against them, or no future capacity, investments these folks are making to make more money. But we just can't continue to have it be where the top of this pyramid is continuing sort of to get thicker and thicker earnings, and we're not finding a way to have that be felt by the rest of the group in the same sort of like, man, this is a great business to be in. When we really kill it here, when we're innovating, when we're shifting the business model, when we figure out how to automate, speed up service, deliver faster and better to clients, bill higher rates, we're making more money, and man, I'm getting paid more.
Mm-hmm.
We're running a smart business. I'm contributing to that, and I can feel how that is impacting my earnings. We've got to create those ties to that for the staff, not just for the partners.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because historically, and still see it, that bonuses are just arbitrary. And when they're just arbitrary, they have no meaning. And so if I just tell you I'm going to give you 5% bonus, you don't know why you got the 5%. You don't know if you actually could have earned more than the 5% had you done better. But if you don't get the 5%, you're mad because there's no parameters around the 5% that you're getting. That's when bonuses go wrong. And so that stepping back to really think about what are the behaviors that you want to create at every level of the firm, not just one random bonus pool and this is how you get it, but at different levels, there's different things that are important to the behaviors that you need in order for the firm to do well. And I think it's important that you think like a business owner. Like when I had my practice, one of the things that they were compensated on, they would get a bonus, and I think it was net collected revenue. There was a percentage every 6 months that they would get based on the work that they were responsible for. And the reason I created that was because, again, at a staff level, what behavior do I need them to have? And I want to incentivize. I want to incentivize them to do quality work and stop writing work off. And so it's easy for a staff person to say, I really screwed up. Can we just write this off? Or I did something the client asked me to do, but I didn't go through the right channels to make sure we had a scope change agreement that happened. And so these things are really important, that we actually sit down, take the work on the business, and say at every level of the firm, if we're going to give more money, which we should, so there should be a base salary and an incentive pay, what are the behaviors that we want them to think like an owner, think like us, so that they are totally engaged and understand how they got compensated so they appreciate the bonus. Because I think too many times what happens is that they get the bonus and it's a expectation, not something of gratitude, because it's like, well, I'm supposed to get a bonus. I've been waiting it and I've worked a lot of hours.
Yes.
And so both sides of it feel bad when that happens, because the partners who are giving the bonus feel like, I'm not even being appreciated for this money we're giving out, but I'm also not taking the time to actually sit down with them and tell them how they earned it and how they could earn more. And the staff person is like, okay, thanks. And so you lost the whole benefit of that compensation. And if you're in a corporation, when you get a bonus, whether that be with stock, whether that be with money, there's milestones you have to hit to get those things. And so, that drives you to hit those behaviors and that milestone. And so this conversation that we're having isn't just about, doling out money to anyone that wants it. It's about, how do you get people to earn more based on the behaviors that you want in the business?
And how do you reward the behaviors we most need to see and the outcomes, the results, the deliverables? So, paying people because they've been there a long time, is.
Or you're afraid they're going to quit.
Yeah. That's not results based. It's not deliverables based. It's not output based. I tell firms all the time, literally, I want you to start saying we are committed to performance-based compensation, even if we're not there yet. And to use phrases like, it's going to be the what have you done for the organization lately program, not based upon entitlements, not based upon tenure, based upon results, deliverables, outcomes. Now, we have to make sure that those measures are not dumb measures, right? And some of our traditional measures are not the smartest measures. Like total hours worked. Give me a break. I can sleep at the office while you're all gone and I look like I worked a lot, but I didn't produce anything, right. So not total hours. Billable hours. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I wish we weren't charging by the hour or even pricing by the hour anymore. And we're going to move away from that. But while we are, maybe build revenue, like you said, net fees, build or something like that that I can contribute to. But we have to be careful with those kind of incentives, because then if I'm a manager, I may hoard work and not delegate it because I want to keep the net fees on my timesheet or whatever. I want to keep it inside my control. So we've got to really think about, what are we trying to incentivize? And innovation, efficiency, automation, development of people.
But
And
business development too can happen
yes,
at every level of the organization. And that's something that I always talk about putting into your compensation plans, because even a staff person can help with business development to upsell something. If they're staying within the scope of the work that they're doing, and they see an opportunity for CFO and advisory services, or there's an acquisition happening or so forth, that gives them, you're teaching that you got to teach them and educate them on what to look for, but then how do they route that? And then they should be incentivized as well. Like, business development skill should be happening from the beginning of your career, because it is an important thing. And business development meaning quality client, like the quality work that the firm wants. So you have to be transparent about the types of clients you want and the quality of that client as well, so that at every level of the firm, people are looking out for that. People are cross-referring. They're getting incentivized for cross-referring and building up the total, total value of a client. So I think we just look on these hours instead of all the different behaviors that actually helps the whole value of the firm and the growth of the firm, and everybody can contribute to that no matter what level you are.
And at some point, Amy, this is going to get, like embarrassingly simple. And this is one of those, I know this, but I don't do it things. What are the top 3 priorities of this organization in the next 12 months? What are the top 3 priorities of each of its departments, service lines, industry groups, practice groups, working groups, operating groups? I don't care what you call them. What are their top 3 priorities that tie back to the top 3 priorities of the organization? Then inside of those groups, what are the top 3 priorities for each of the leaders based upon their gift set? And then, deeper into the business, now you go to the senior managers and the managers and the supervisors, and everybody's got their top 3. And maybe you could have up to 5 goals. I put it in here. Oh no, goals. Just thought, when you say, let's have a conversation about goals, people are like, I don't want to, I'm not gonna, because the word goals it gets a bad rap. But if you don't have smart KPIs, and they're not in writing, and they're not just these huge broad KPIs, that they're very tailored and specific to me, and they're not necessarily coming from the finance system, and they may not come at all from the time and billing system, folks. They can be soft KPIs or soft top 3 things that still could be measured. You could still tell if they could be done. And they're deliverables, outputs, results, and they tie directly to our top 3 priorities. I cannot tell you how frequently my organization, you, Amy, we go into these firms that are smart, bright, vibrant, growing, award-winning, top 100. And you say, what are the top 3 priorities for the organization this year? And they're like, well, we have 20, and you're like, no, we can't have 20. And by the way, the 20 are like written in some retreat recap from a strategic planning meeting that never gets published.
Yeah.
So like who knows these?
But they're not strategic, they're tasks.
Yes, they might be. Yeah. They could also be too many strategic things. Yeah. And we know there's so much change happening right now. We get it. Yeah. We get why you would feel like, oh my gosh, we've got to, really dramatically change capacity, and we've got to automate, workflows, and we've got to, build our non-CPA work stream. And we've got, you could have this long list of big boulders, but you can't do them all in 12 months. So let's pick 3. And anyway, this whole idea of measurement and paying for performance requires that we get some alignment and clear direction in writing about the top priorities of the organization and each group within it. And that does require leadership, and it requires, management. It requires saying no.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other weird thing about comp is when I don't tell you, when I don't say, here are the things we are going to do and here are the things we're not doing this year, then everybody does whatever they want. And then they come back and try to rationalize why they should get paid more for doing their own thing.
Yeah.
That may not be what we need or want at all.
Yeah.
So it all comes back again to what, where are we headed? What's our vision? And what are our top 3 things?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. We're already out of time.
Yeah, I know. And we didn't get into mechanics yet of compensation.
Yeah.
We might do it in a future time.
Yeah.
It's fun to do that. So, and also comp studies and a whole bunch of other things that we could cover on the how-to side. So we'll look at that. We'll make a note of that. If you have any ideas for any subjects you'd like us to cover, we would really welcome any input that you have to Amy or I or both of us. Also, if you are going to be at any of the conferences coming up here, the spring conference season, Amy and I are going to be all over the place at various places, and you can find out where probably in our social and on our websites. We would love to see your faces and hear your feedback on this Friday thing we do, and any ideas you have to make it more impactful or better for you. We'd love it. So Amy, thank you so much for today. Thanks to all of our participants. Thank you, Caroline, for running this thing. And we'll see you again, I think, next week. I think we're on next week. So Caroline, yes, nodding. Caroline says, yes, we are. So thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Bye.